The man who loves walking will work further than the man who loves the destination. Often when we talk about, demanding greatness, health, fitness, anything of this nature, we talk about the hard work, we talk about the effort, we talk about what's required in this moment for it. And I try not to sugarcoat it. I try not to ever give you this false hope like a lot of people do of, it's just easy, 5-minute abs, 30 minutes a day, use this and sit on the couch or whatever it might be. No, it requires effort. It requires hard work. It requires discipline. And the reason why I see so many people fail when it comes to, health and fitness, when it comes to exercise, when it comes to any form of changing your life, is that they are in love with the destination, with the idea of where they're going, whether that's out of pain or towards a pleasure. That's what they're focused on. The problem is that when you are only focused on the end goal, on the destination, on where you're going to end up, out of pain or in pleasure or whatever it might be. If we're going to talk in health and fitness, exercise, if you're focused on the six-pack or, the confidence of not having the gut or whatever it might be, the issue arises that, this shit takes time. Truly changing, truly seeing incredible results takes time. It takes effort, it takes consistency, it takes intensity. Now, if you're only in love with the concept of where you're heading, that time can feel like an eternity. And when the motivation runs dry and, there are other quick fixes or simple options or all that kind of stuff that makes you want to jump ship from doing the work, all of a sudden it becomes really easy to quit, pull the plug, do something different. Because, you aren't getting where you want to be. You aren't progressing to the results you want to do. It's why you need to fall in love with the process. You need to fall in love with the sensations and the work itself. Because, then you're seeking that. You're seeking the fulfillment of doing the job. Years and years and years ago, after I came back from college, I was a landscape gardener for a short period of time. One of the hardest fucking jobs I've ever had in my entire life. I tip my hat to anyone who's a blue-collar worker, who does that kind of work day in, day out. Oh my God, just incredible respect for them. But I also got it. I get the joy from doing that kind of work. Because I was fit. I was coming off the back end of a college career. I'd played collegiate basketball. I was fit as hell. And that job kicked the shit out of me. Absolutely humbled me. The one I remember specifically was the guy I was working for was in his 50s. And they dropped off 5 tons of dirt. And he's like, I need you to take it from the front of the house to the back of the house where it needs to go in the positions. And wheelbarrow after wheelbarrow load. And I'm just slamming it down. I'm going as hard as I can. I'm dripping with sweat. My hands are hurting. I'm getting blisters. But I was determined. I was giving it my all. And he comes over and he's like, look, mate, I know you're working really hard, but it's just not getting done fast enough, so I'm going to help you. I'm like, okay, cool, fair enough. And this man, in his 50s, did 3 to 1 of my barrel loads. Effortlessly. Just smooth and consistent, and just humbled the shit out of me. And at the end, I asked him, and I'm like, how'd you do that? And he's like, because this is what I love. I've been doing this for 30 years. I love this work. And he'd built that up. But anyway, it's that pleasure of completion. He's like, I love to see the completion at the end of the day. And I loved that as well, that I could work my ass off and give it everything. And I would lay down my head at the end of the night, exhausted as hell, but fulfilled and satisfied in the amount of work that I had given. That I had given everything, and I could visually see the progress as I was doing the work. I could see it all happening. And that was really, really fulfilling work. And I think that's the kind of stuff that you need to get used to. You need to find something that you can give everything you have. That you can just leave it all out there on the table. That you can push and push and push and get to the end and be exhausted, but have thoroughly enjoyed the process. The more you can do that you can lay down at the end of the day and go, I left it all out there. I gave it absolutely everything I had. There was nothing more I could have done. That's a great feeling. As I said, the man who loves to walk will walk a hell of a lot further than the man who loves the destination. Because if you're only focused on the results, when it comes to health, business, relationships, finances, any of these things, it's not going to happen like that. But if you learn to love the process that you're doing it in, it becomes easier because you're seeking the joy of the work. You're seeking the joy of completion of the work, not of the result that comes with it. But when you do that, suddenly the results come faster. When you do that, suddenly the results are better than ever because, well, you fell in love with the work itself. And I was reminded of that today, which is why I wanted to talk about it, I was doing my workout, and now how my work is scheduled, I get an hour in between some of my sessions. And I've got to slam through my workout in that time. And I crushed it today. And I was doing upper body pull, upper body pull, and I was just shattered. I had nailed everything. It was one of the best ones I'd felt in a while. Really isolated well, really felt the burn, really could barely get out another rep. And I was like, I've got another 5 minutes before my clients turn up. So I hit another round. Not because I needed to. Yeah, I'd completed all the sets and reps, but for two reasons. One, I fucking love that feeling. I love that feeling of just grinding out extra reps, of pushing your body that far as you can physically take it. My God, does that feel amazing. As I said, when you lay in, the arena, having given everything you have, that there is nothing more you could have given. God, that feels good. I don't know about you, but it makes you feel alive. It makes me feel like I could take on anything. Like I have just given it all, my heart, my soul, to that moment. And there is nothing more I could give. It's incredible. But also within that, it was on fire and I was barely moving there. That last extra round. But I had a little bit more to give. I had a little bit more. I had a bit of time and I had a bit more to give. Wasn't much. They weren't great. They weren't these beautiful reps. No, they were ground out and it was just eking out that last little bit out of the muscles. Oh, but I loved every single second of that. And that's why I'm able to do what I do. Because I love it. Because I find joy in it. That I'm not just doing it to reach this end goal, but because the workouts themselves, the pushing of my limits, of working as hard as I can, that is fun. That is enjoyable. I seek that out. I want to see how far I can push myself. And I'm not going to lie, even though I love it, even though I love that feeling, there are days where it's harder than others. There are days where I'm like, I don't know how much more I can give on this. I don't know how much more I've got in the tank because I'm tired or I'm stressed or whatever it is. To find that ability to push deeper is difficult, is really, really difficult. But that's what you still got to chase and I'm able to find it more often than not because I do love it. Because I love that feeling that it brings. And it's a hard one for people to wrap their head around. And I tell it to my clients all the time. The sooner you fall in love with the process, the sooner you fall in love with the journey, the easier this will be. Because if not, you're just going to hate it all the way. And at some point you'll quit. Look, you might get 3 months, 6 months, 12 months. You might even get a few years into it. But at some point you'll quit if you hate it that much. Why? Because, well, you hate it. And either you'll get the result, you'll get something close to it, or you'll find something else to chase. So you'll give up on that. But if you fall in love with the process of doing the work, well, then you get rewarded every single day. You get rewarded every time you do it because it's not about the end outcome. That's a bonus. That's a nicety. It's about who you are in the moment. It's about doing the work for the sake of the work. That's where the joy comes from. That's where you gain all the benefits from. And that's what you need to find. And to me, it doesn't matter how you figure that out. It doesn't matter to me which part you fall in love with. But you need to learn to love the process. Because otherwise, it's forever going to be a grind. And, well, nobody wants to live that way. Nobody wants to constantly go, oh, fuck's sake, here we go again. The gym, here we go again. Working out, here we go again. The weighted walks. I don't care how much you're in love with the end result. I don't care how much you feel you want, need, deserve that end thing. At some point, you will give it up. Because there will be easier and gentler and nicer things that will call to you. Guaranteed. It's part of life. And your resilience to say no to resistance, to say no to those things, will just be chipped away at. Bit by bit by bit. Because, well, the suffering without feeling like the reward is worth it, that shit gets old. That shit gets old real quick. So you need to learn to love that feeling. You know, whether it's, if we're talking about lifting weights, the pump, the stretch, the getting stronger, whatever it might be, you need to fall in love with one of those processes, or all of them, so that you can keep doing it. On the days that you don't feel like it, you love something that comes with it, so you will do it anyway. Even if it's the endorphins that come at the end, or the sense of completion and satisfaction of doing something difficult. As I said, it doesn't matter which part you fall in love with, but fall in love with something. Because that's going to take you so much further, give you so much better results, keep you in the game longer than anyone else. Because you love the process. And we've spoken about it before. The 3 keys to great success in any endeavor is intensity, effort, and consistency. To maintain all 3 requires more than motivation. It requires more than, well, just discipline. Because you can be disciplined as fuck, but it will wane. It will wane at some point, because you'll get tired, you'll get exhausted, things will come up, whatever it might be. And discipline should override it, and will override it for a much, much longer time, which is why we focus on building discipline. But it's a hell of a lot easier to find a love and passion for this process than it is to just white knuckle the shit out of this. Because I also find then if you're constantly white knuckling this, yeah, it builds up grit, yeah, it builds up determination, yeah, it builds up resilience and mental toughness and all that kind of stuff, which is fucking fantastic. But you can build that up with the passion as well, because if you're just building those and white knuckling it, well, you only have so much capacity for that kind of stuff. You only have so much capacity to just willpower your way through shit. So if you're always using it on health and fitness, on the exercise, on that kind of stuff, well, you've got a depleted resources for the other areas, whether that be business, whether that be work, whether that be relationships, whether it be whatever it might be. You've got a depleted resource. So you want to give yourself as much capacity as possible. You want to give yourself the best opportunity to tackle this and to make it the greatest thing that you can do. And the simplest way to do that is by, as I said, falling in love with the process. I was having an interesting conversation with someone the other day, a friend of mine, and she gave me a really good point. And it applies both ways. We were talking about changing a negative habit and thought process, but it applies to turning something into a positive. We have this notion that to change these things takes massive commitment and working through, the trauma or like all that kind of stuff. And yet, all it really takes is just making a decision. All it really takes is deciding and going from there. Just honest to God, make a decision and then follow through. That's how you change the thought process. And it's a little bit harder than it sounds. It's simple, but it does take effort and consistency. But just honest to God, make a decision that you're going to be like, okay, well, I like this. Pick something and then do it. Go, okay, I love this now. I love the burn. I love the feeling of completion. I love whatever it is. But stop telling yourself that you hate it. Stop telling yourself that it's awful. Stop telling yourself that you don't want to do it. Start telling yourself that this is the best feeling in the world. That you're excited for it. That when you complete it, you're going to feel on top of the world. Tell yourself those things. Remember, the quality of your life is determined by the thoughts you have. And your reality is a direct reflection of your thoughts, your habits, and your actions. So start changing it. You and I both know, especially if we're talking fitness. Look, this will apply to anything, but especially fitness. It is going to change your life. It is going to have a massively positive impact on your life in every area. Confidence, health, wealth, relationships, energy, vitality, all of it. It's going to be beneficial. So stop telling yourself that it's fucking awful. Stop telling yourself that it's the worst thing you have to do and, oh, here we go again. No. Tell yourself that it's amazing, that you love it, that you can't wait to have that feeling of exhaustion, of completion, of just pushing through, of finding another gear, of finding another level. Tap into that inner beast, that one that comes out when you know that you're spent and you find another gear. Anyone who's ever been an athlete knows that feeling. It's just this primal thing of when you feel like you're done and you just go, fuck no, I have another gear. I have something else in me. I can find that next level. I can find the next thing. Do that. Fall in love with that. Make that your reality. Make that the decisions. Choose that over anything else. And watch as your whole life gets better. Watch as every aspect of your life improves. Watch how easy it becomes to do that and how quickly the results come. Because, well, when you love the work, it becomes so much easier to push further, to find more, to do more, to dig deeper. Because, well, shit, you're in love with that. You love the process. So that's what we're talking about. That's what we're chasing. And if you need the guidance, if you need the support, if you need to be walked through that process, well, that's what I'm here for. That's what Demanding Greatness is. It is your blueprint through health and fitness to be the greatest version of yourself, to wake up and to demand greatness, to be held accountable to the highest standards, and to be delivered a blueprint that is going to transform not only your physique and your health and your fitness, but your relationship with that and how you view the world. It's going to change all of that. So if you're ready to see the results that you want, need, deserve, click the link in my bio. Get into Demanding Greatness. See who you can be when you commit all in to yourself and what is possible on the other side. It's not going to be easy. You're going to have to fall in love with the process. But if you do that, if you commit and you make a decision that that's what you're going to do, I can guarantee all in commitment, you will be a different man, faster than you could possibly imagine. So if you are ready for that, as I said, click the link in the bio or shoot me a message and let's make that a reality for you. Can't wait to see you there.